A very good evening to everyone. We are very happy to conduct this online webinar, which is going to be on the topic of effective use of digital technologies by students for their career development. Enliven Archive, in association with ASN Engineering College for Women's, Tenali, is going to organize this wonderful online webinar. And we have all our speakers and convener already available, and I would like to introduce myself. This is Pavan Kumar. I'm director of Enliven Archive, which is an open access and peer reviewer publisher. We are handling about 25 online journals, and we are here into the online open access stream since 2014. And we are happy to conduct such online versions or online webinars in this pandemic situation, which will be very much useful for all the students and also many other faculties. And the convener of this particular webinar will be Dr. Ramachand Kolasani, who is principal of ASN Tenali. And coming to Dr. K. Ramachand, he is principal of ASN College, as I already told, and his academic background constraints of a doctorate from Acharya Nagarjuna University on the software reliability, and his work experience is countable of 28 long years, with 3 years as senior system programmer in Morgan Stanley, USA, and also 25 years of experience as academician in reputed colleges in JKC College and many other colleges. Currently, he is a principal of ASN colleges, and we are very happy, and we thank you a lot for associating with the Enliven Archive and conducting such a wonderful session with everyone. I would like to hand over this particular warm welcome session to Dr. Ramachand Kolasani.
So thank you everyone. Thank you, Pavan. I really welcome everyone for this webinar, and I really want to thank Dr. Sherin Jaffo and Professor Edward Bablock for taking the initiative and try to giving the orientation for the students on digital technologies for their career. And I really thank Power also for coordinating the experts and making this event, basically happen. And I really thank again. And Pavan, you can proceed. Thank you for, we'll give the time for the speakers. Thank you, sir, both of you, and I'll join again.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Ramachan Kolasani, for the warm welcome. We'll have the next session, which will be proceeded by Dr. Sherin Jaffer. Before I handle over the presentation to Dr. Sherin Jaffer, I'll have a brief introduction of her. Dr. Sherin Jaffer is an assistant professor in computer science and engineering in School of Engineering Sciences and Technology, Jamia Hamdard, with a decade of successful experience in teaching and research management. She specializes in wireless networks, soft computing, and network security, and has great profile in Scopus, Mendeley, Google Scholar, ResearchGate, and Publons. With about half century of papers published in Scopus, SCI, and peer-reviewed journals, double century of papers reviewed, and also editorial board and editor-in-chief of many reputed and Scopus Index journals. She also has published patent and also is a PI for FIST project of DST, a strong believer in the power of positive thinking in the workplace. Dr. Sharin regularly develops internship and career campaigns for students through Internshala and Epoch literacy and cultural society groups, and guided huge number of graduate, postgraduate, and also PhD students. Sherin enjoys a good Netflix and cricket binge, but can also be found on long drive rides on country roads. That was so impressive, and I would like to. I'm sorry, she's not available. I'll just give a call to her.
I just joined. Can see me now? Is it now okay? Yes. A very good evening to all of you. Just joining with a quote that do it now, sometimes later becomes never. So this is the quote I may start for all the young students here, because the focus of our the aim or the focus of this webinar is effective use of digital technologies by students for their career development. So the quote becomes best: do it now, because if you don't do it now, then your sometimes or later becomes never, because then you'll not able to do so. So a very good evening to Mr. Vijay, whom I was interacting through mail, Mr. Pawan, and Sir Edward Babulak, sir. I'm honored to be part of this webinar with you, because as seeing your research and all, I'm very young. As I saw your profile and all, I was very much honored to be part of this webinar with you. Also, I'm very much thankful for ASN Women's Engineering College to give me this platform of speaking and quoting my words. Also, I am very thankful to Professor Ramchand Kolsani, Principal ASN Engineering College. So I'll be starting this webinar with the concept of the digital technology. And nowadays, as we say that, is my screen visible, Pawan sir?
Yes, it is visible.
Hello?
Yes, it is visible.
Yes. So, okay. So online digital formal, the new normal, like we are seeing this everywhere. The main issue is that when we started seeing movies, or when we started seeing movies on Netflix and Amazon, it was fine. But when we say that we need to have a class through a digital computer, or when we lecture or exam through online platforms, then the issue comes. So I need to just focus to all the lovely students there that this is nothing very much difficult. You just need to pump up in order to be part of this new normal. So this is just a phase, it will pass on, but you need to go forward for this new normal. So as we say, a lockdown should never stand between the teachers and the students. We need to teach anytime, anywhere, live. Teach without restrictions. Also, we should have a paradigm, we should have a specification that everything in this digital platform should cover the syllabus, attendance, board work, questions, homework, just like a regular class. All features of your regular class that we should enjoy through any kind of a digital platform. Now, talking about the COVID-19 pandemic, that it has changed the education line forever, because we can see that about 1.2 billion students are out of their classrooms. And this education has changed dramatically, with giving a rise to e-education. And as WHO says that this corona and this COVID is a long time specification. So we need to transform ourselves. We don't need to say that if corona or COVID is coming, we are not going to do anything. But as a raw material, we should refine ourselves. So once we go to the industry, we are very much in power to be part of those industrial platforms. When we talk about e-learning has great advantages: easily accessible, budget friendly, convenient. And as we say that social distancing is very much easily maintained by using of these particular flexible and no commuting required platforms. For example, I can take, like, for our Hamdard students, the students are using this time doing Coursera courses, LinkedIn courses, and they're enjoying the platforms. They are becoming the part of this particular online e-learning digital scenarios. Now, they can be like every digital scenario has some pros, some cons. So now e-learning can also have disadvantages. But I can say, suppose if you talk about responsibility, like a structure, a time management, these are the difficult things that the students are finding to do. But these disadvantages can become advantages, because if I say that a student is taking the responsibility of doing the time management and other things, then he is learning or she is learning, because once they go to the industry, in that particular industry, they'll be learning how to they'll be need to use the concept of time management. They need to use the specifications of their working scenarios, and they need to be practical. Like for example, a simple mail. For example, I can say my 9th class son, he is learning to write a simple mail in industry, whether any industry, your computer industry, your electrical industry, construction industry. Responding negatively to a mail can cause your career. So you are just in this scenario listening and learning these things. Now the thing is that the most important thing is health. If we say that we are locked down, we are using digital platform, this is all for the health and the betterment of the students. This is just betterment for the country to save the lives. And I say that combining all these pros and cons, new opportunities are coming into way. Like if I say, many of my students, they are going for like writing projects in this particular paradigm. They are going for startups. Like when we talk about the incubation centers, the innovation cells, the students are jumping towards using these 2 to 3 months towards these technologies. So they are not wasting their time. They are using this as their career development. You have many platforms for using the webinars and online class. And if I say, I have also used the upgrade the first time. We took Google Meet classes, we took used various platforms, and I found it very interesting because I myself is learning every time. I'm learning something new and I'm learning something very much interesting. But there's a thing to ponder for an Indian perspective. I think this thing is need to be specified. Like this was the article which was published in Hindu paper, that there is a digital divide, mainly because India is a country which is facing a problem of population. Then we have a digital divide between the people who are privileged and non-privileged. So these are the things to be pondered. For example, I have heard many cases like a student was not able to get a mobile for attending his classes or her classes. She committed suicide. So as the status here says that in a survey conducted in Bangalore, 90% of the 80 lakh students were found to have access to television, out of which only 62.5 had smartphones and only 53.7 had internet facilities. And this is a state which is said to be an IT hub. If we talk about other states of our country which have major issues and major problems, then there it can be a much more problematic situation. But we are going in a very a positive manner. We are going ahead. Our government is doing many things, and I can say not only government, we can see that many people are joining hands. For example, I have many examples where people have 2 and 3 laptops. They are giving their laptop to their neighbor if they don't have. People are helping, because I can say there need to be a chain. If 3 people can help other 3 people, this chain will go on, and we will able to be cope this situation. And our government is also doing things like DD channels exclusively for the Department of Public Instructions. They are distributing tablets. They are doing different types of works in order to be part of this particular digital, in order to reduce the digital divide. They are working in a very fine manner. But please understand, we need to understand this is a dynamic situation. We are working in a manner that need to be a part of this, overcome this digital divide, and we shall and we will do it. Some students I can see are enjoying this. They are learning. They are becoming a part of this particular digital platforms. They are Microsoft and many Google and other companies are coming up, and they are enabling the unrestricted the digital divide people in order to cope up with these scenarios. And I can see that because of this corona and this COVID, students are even wearing masks inside, because it is dangerous. It is causing little havoc. But still, we are on with it. We need to become like I can say that we need to become industry acceptable in this 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. We can do those things. Coursera courses, LinkedIn courses, some courses in artificial intelligence, some courses in different scenarios in order to be part of the digital community. Because if I say any of the organization, whether it's a IT company, whether it's a mechanical construction, they all want your digital skills. So you need to be uplifted your digital skills. From Hamdard, I can give you a particular slogan that we all are following the lockdown. Please stay at home and prevent the spread together. We can and we will make against COVID-19. This is a Jamia Hamdard University slogan from New Delhi. And just want to present a video for all of you. And this video is related to the basically digital specification.
School and colleges have been asked to remain shut, and online classes have become the order of the day. Both public and private.
Pawan sir, are you able to hear the audio of the video?
Online learning, in order to keep the curriculum.
Yes, yes.
Homeschooling has replaced the classroom teaching, and laptops and phones are now the new tools for the teachers to engage with students. With schools shut since mid-March, children are showing great deal of excitement about virtual classrooms but miss the school environment.
Homeschooling enables students to explore a whole new world of technology while still learning. It instills self-discipline and self-compliance in students with respect to time management. But nevertheless, homeschooling does not offer the fun and learning like the one in a physical classroom.
Teachers still give us homework and still are still there to answer our doubts and queries. The major downside though is that we don't get to hang out with our friends. I like playing football and there's none of that anymore. The online class system was kind of new to me at first, but now as my tuitions are also held there, so I'm pretty used to it.
Our school has graciously arranged online classes for us so that our studies don't get hampered. These changes certainly have caused a degree of inconvenience, but all thanks to our school, we are coping up with it just fine. Daily classes have been arranged to maintain progress in studies, and our classes are taken on every Saturday to ensure that no topic is left half understood.
The shift in the medium has been a new learning curve for a lot of teachers as they adapt to the online world of new applications and e-material learning. However, many teachers feel lack of physical school environment can hamper in the overall development of a child.
As teachers, we have this huge responsibility to ensure that the learning cycle keeps moving. I am conducting classes over online learning platforms every day. Meeting children virtually and teaching them has added another dimension to the whole teaching learning process and bonding with the children. Every single day, I feel I am learning something new and I am exploring something new. Every single day, I am adding something to my skills. It has been a great journey, great learning journey for me as well.
Homeschooling does ignore certain vital aspects of a physical school environment. A child getting an opportunity to participate in a drama or in a particular dance. The child understanding the concept of society for the very first time, because the school is like a model of the society that the child is going to step into when the child grows up. Essential life skills such as collaborative learning, such as communication skills, such as empathy, such as management skills. I think online learning or homeschooling cannot provide these essential life skills the way a school can.
It's been 20 days now since we had our first online class, and every day we've had some or the other troubleshooting to do. The biggest challenge, I believe, was to reach out to everyone in the classroom, which includes EWS children or children with certain intellectual or learning disabilities, children with special needs per se. So, if I were to look at it in long term, holistically, if I look at the country at large, I don't see a possibility that the entire Indian education system can go online. But yes, it's a privilege that a lot of private schools have, especially in the capital.
Children's safety is also at risk due to increasing online time and the pandemic. UNESCO also came out with a list of possible problems that children might go through during this lockdown. Heightened risk of online exploitation, possibility of being bullied online, exposure to violent content are some of the risk factors that children could be exposed to, but as students log on from phone, parents struggle with this transition.
We are all right now adapting to the system of online classes, whether it's teachers at the school and the children or the parents. So it's a good thing because it keeps kids occupied and provides some kind of a structure to the day. But we are still, adapting to the technology. We are adapting to, which platform to use for how long. Then the challenges are how to keep the children engaged, how to wake them up on time for class, because one doesn't really get into that whole psychological feeling that you're going to school and a certain sense of answerability.
Online training program on online education which the teachers are not following. It allows them to record the videos and upload them on the platform rather than this is more like an exaggerated version of a WhatsApp video rather than an education platform which the students would wish to go for. And the user experience of the applications is fantastic to say the least. And there is no one-on-one communication happening between the teacher and the student. There is no, it's just the teachers are running through the portions rather than imparting the knowledge which the students would wish for or the parents would wish for.
Experts have suggested a framework to protect children from such possible incidents. They have advised parents to establish rules to use technology. Online applications and e-learning platforms must be used only to empower children. Schools must also ensure that they sensitize children about online safety. And lastly, the government must strengthen its support services to protect people, particularly children, from the hazards of the internet.
You all can reach me out at shireen.zafar@jamiahamdard.ac.in, and my email IDs are with you. And also, you can check my Google Scholar and you can access some papers, because this webinar was more focused toward online digital platforms. So you can check various my papers and research works, but they will be not as much better as Mr. Our next speaker, Mr. Edward Babulak. So just thank you all for this particular session. Hope you have enjoyed this.
Thanks a lot, Shireen Jaffer. That was, up to the mark. What is going on today in the society? So I guess people have to get a good knowledge of this, and they should actually take this seriously because it is going to be our future. It's not a time pass work that even teachers are doing or students are doing. So everyone has to take this as a opportunity to learn in a new platform, and they'll have to get acquainted to the new habitat what will have to be. Yeah, there are also some pros and cons, those were discussed also. That was so insightful. And I forgot to inform everyone that Dr. Sharin Jafar is editorial board member of our computer journal from Gnome Publications. And we are very happy to get collaborated with her. And if there are any points to be raised by Dr. Ramachand Kolasani or Professor Edward Bablak, please go ahead with the speech. If there are no queries, just let me know so that I will continue with the next presentation.
Good, good. So, hello everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So, first of all, thank you so much for your kind invitation, and thank you, Dr. Uh, Ramchandi Kalasani, Dr. Sherry, and also Pawan for organizing and bringing people together. I'm just curious, how many people we have in the audience?
Yeah, we are
I
having
wanna,
around
I
680
have a little
members.
bit of, yeah. So I'm sitting here actually. I'm in Canada.
Okay.
I work I work in Virginia in the United States at the university. I'm a professor of
So
computer science.
I'm sorry to disturb you. Like before you go ahead with your talk, I'll just give a brief introduction of yours to our
Yes,
members. So that
yes,
would be very fine. Yeah,
excellent.
yeah. So yeah, our next speech of this webinar will be handed over by Professor Edward Bablak. He is, first of all, getting into his profile, I'm very proud that he is an editorial board member of Gnome Publications from Computer Journal, and we are very happy to get collaborated with such a great personality. And yeah, now coming to his profile, Professor Edward Babulak is accomplished international scholar, researcher, consultant, educator, professional engineer, and polyglot with more than 30 years of experience. He served as successfully published, and his research was cited by scholars all over the world. He serves as chair of the IEEE Vancouver Ethics Professional and Conference Committee. He was invited speaker at the University of Cambridge, MIT, Courage, Yokohama National University, and University of Electrocommunications in Tokyo, Japan, Shanghai Jiao Tong University, Songkwankwa University in Korea, Purdue, Penn State in USA, Technical University in Prague, University at West Indies, Greg University of Technology, Austria, and other prestigious academic institutions worldwide. His academic and engineering work was recognized internationally by the Engineering Council in United Kingdom, the European Federation of Engineers, and credited by the Ontario Society of Professional Engineers and APEG in British Columbia in Canada. He was awarded higher doctoral degree docent Doctor of Science DSc in the Czech Republic, PhD MSc, and High National Certificate HNC diplomas in the United Kingdom, as well as the MSc and BSc diplomas in Electrical Engineering, Slovakia. He serves as the editor in chief, associate editor in chief, co editor, and guest editor. He speaks 16 languages, that is phenomenal, and his biography was cited in the Cambridge Blue Book, Cambridge Index of Biographies, Stanford Who's Who, and number of issues of Who's Who in the world and America, which is very astonishing. Fellow of the Roy, he is in the associations of many associations, and he is fellow of the Royal Society RSA London UK, chartered professional IT fellow, mentor, and allied group member of British Computer Society London UK, invited panel member for National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellowship Program USA, expert consultant for EU Horizon 2020 and Cordis FP6 FP7 European Commission, Brussels, Belgium. And he is also mentor and senior member of the IEEE and ACM USA, nominated fellow of the Institution of Engineering and Technology, London, UK, and distinguished member of the ACM USA, chartered member of the chartered member of the IET London, UK, professional member of the American Society of Engineering Education, American Mathematical Association, and Mathematical Society of America. His education goes from DSc, PhD, MSc, and yeah, we are very happy to have you on this particular webinar, Professor Edward Bablak. And we are very thankful for you to be on the editorial board of No Publications, and you are definitely an distinguished future for the journal. And we are happy to go ahead with your webinar. I'm now handing over this particular session to Professor Edward Bablak.
Thank you so much, Karan, for your kind introduction, and once again, thank you very much for a warm welcome and organizing the seminar. And I was very impressed with Dr. Zafar presentation, so congratulations. You really, I look at, this is where
Honored, sir. Yeah, these words are honoring me because I was very much nervous when I read your profile. I was very much nervous to join this.
well, I remember like yesterday when I was kind of, my journey to, where I am now in life was a little bit, there's a little bit longer journey, and I have done so many things in my life. And I like what you mentioned, in your presentation, that you mentioned that, India, of course, it's a very large country, and COVID have changed everything. It is still changing everything. I also like to congratulate Dr. Kolasani for, keeping the schools together and and make. Please unmute your mic. Unmute your mic. Maybe somebody has a mic on. Anyway, so we have, I have great admiration for your work, Dr. Kalasani, because, I can imagine you have multiple schools and children from different backgrounds. and you try to make sure that they get the best quality education. So congratulations, and really you have my admiration for the work you do. So I come back to your Dr. Safar presentation because you did presentation already for me too. So I'm going to share your presentation with with audience. And just before I go any further, how many students or how many people we have in audience, Pavan? How many people are
There
connected?
are about 680 members who are actually on live. All are the students.
Excellent. So to all of you students and visitors, most warm welcome. And indeed, the digital transformation. I remember back, my first degree was in electrical engineering, and actually, even before doing electrical engineering, I was repairman. I was repairing black and white TVs with a screwdriver and solder in 1976. So 70. So that was a little bit longer. But then I remember we were talking about with colleagues, I work on telecommunication exchange, and we use to, those relay-based, the electromagnetic relays to connect telephones. I don't know, Dr. Zafar, if you remember, from data communication, if you look at the museum. So I work on one of these very, very old machines. It made so much noise, but fundamentally, the technology have changed, but there are certain engineering principles and mathematical principles that have not changed. So I'm a very, very fond of mathematics. I encourage every student and every colleague to study mathematics because mathematics is a foundation of all this, engineering and sciences. Of course, physics. I was very keen in study physics, and actually I have a lot of friends and colleagues working in the you know area of physics, NASA, and all these research directions. So I just want to say this is 2020, and all of you, I'm sure you have a smartphone or tablet or laptop, and we call it smartphone. Well, I doubt it because if I would ask you 600 participants to take your cell phone and give it to somebody else, would you do that? I don't think so. You see, you are so connected to your device because, of course, you have emails, you have private information on it, you have so many things, and this device, which is technically electro mechanical, if you like, device, has become part of us. It become, almost like invasive that we can't just exist. I'll be honest, when I travel, and I did travel a little bit, and I'm looking forward to work with Dr. Zafar. I, be honest to maybe open couple of doors for you because I see you are very talented and you already have published very good work. So congratulations. Uh, in that respect, it is. India, I had my best students from India. I remember I working in South Korea. One of my students, what's her name? Ruchi, she did her master's degrees in Samyung-wan in Korea. And now she is one of the senior researchers in Arizona. She works on cancer research, and she connected me just a couple of weeks ago, inviting me to collaborate. So it seems like, you know, people say the intellectual heritage of India is perhaps the most wonderful gift from God to humanity. Because, starting from Vedic science, and of course now people say Silicon Valley is shifting from San Francisco to Delhi or Bangalore, India. So there's a lot of work, but indeed everything comes with the talent, and everything comes with desire and aspiration to learn. And I must say that, as Dr. Zafar very well said, that the technology is here, it's available, but I think it is also very important to know how to use that technology effectively, because I see it in my lectures. I lecture senior graduate courses. I work with PhDs and postdocs. And, as soon as I see a student who is kind of like, imagine I'm in the lecture and I would do this. So I am disconnected completely. And so what it means that pen and paper, I'll be honest with you, I love technology, but it's essential when you're learning, you still have to make notes. And making notes means that you take a note. And if you surely look at, Dr. Kalasami and Dr. Zafir, yeah, I notice you already are making notes. So you are excellent, excellent academics. And indeed, making notes means that technology is, of course, you can make notes with your iPad, you can make notes with your Samsung tablet and whatever. But there is something with that kind of connecting to the concept of leaving your personal notes. So, in other words, what I'm trying to say is technology is smart, but there are many, the level of smartness or the definition of smart, I don't think so. Because, a smart cell phone would be cell phone that nobody can steal. Smart cell phone would be cell phone that nobody can, basically use without authorization. Of course, we have passwords and we have finger bio, authentications and other mechanisms. But there is now, and of course, as we know, the problem on the smart technologies, the cyber security. And as we are becoming all interconnected, then of course the issues of cyber secure systems becomes more critical. And so with that respect, I think the schools, universities and institutions in India, like anywhere in the world, will be now looking into kind of enhancing their infrastructures and making sure that, as students are getting all these technologies, all these tools, they're also getting some intellectual properties that they can download from school. So like Dr. Kalasani or Dr. Zafar, you know how it is when you teach, you have, proprietary or, intellectual material like from editors or from publishers, and it is a value. And even if you develop a course or if you develop lectures, it is your property, because you are the maker of that. So I think it's important to kind of figure out how to balance that access to information and also how honorably to use that information. As far as students are concerned, indeed, it is always, technology is here to enhance your learning skills, but I still believe that it is essential that you communicate with your professors, with your teachers, that you create working groups, that you're developing what we call teamwork skills, time management, project management skills, and personal skills, communication skills, because in the job, when you're looking at, down the road, the COVID have already changed everything. And I do believe that it will be maybe people from India, young people, beautiful, smart people like you, who will come and maybe rescue the rest of the world. Because, it seems like for many years there was, of course, what we call more privilege, and less privilege. But now, with the education have replaced gold. US started with gold hunting. Everybody was hunting for gold. Now everybody is hunting for diplomas. And, the education is investment. So in other words, I did a little bit of my education. I'll be honest with you, Dr. Zafar, I have been student for 33 years. And I feel like I'm at the beginning of learning. I'm just at the beginning of learning. So, this is very important to have that spirit of being humble and kind of continue to be interested in learning, because there's always something. And that's what makes us, educators and scholars. I like to consider you, if I may, put it humbly, Dr. Kalasani, Zafar, and Kumar, like my brothers and sisters in education, because we are all working, we are one family, and we're all working very hard to make sure that the students get the best quality of education. But now to you students, My message to you would be, when you go to classroom or when you start your classroom session, it is maybe 45 minutes or 50 minutes, but think about it as if you would have now, when you start your degree, you can look at how many hours, how many lecture hours you will have. And let's say every 45 minutes of your lecture is like $200 together. So already when you start, when you walk in the first class, you already are very wealthy. If you do it right, you generate from one lecture $200 when you graduate, when you get your career. In other words, you look at your education as an investment. It's not because Dr. Zafar or Dr. Kalasani said so that you have to learn. No, it is because you want to learn to become successful. And that success, you know, uh, creates, it's like a staircase. You take a first step, then you take a second step. And Dr. Zafar, you mentioned that you look at my dossier. I be honest with you, when you kind of get to where I am in life, your dossier will be much bigger than mine, much greater. So, because this is what it is. You're on the path, and the whole purpose of education is actually, see me as a professor. If I see my say younger colleagues successful, then I am successful because I help them to become successful. And of course, you for students, your teachers want you to become successful. They want you to be best students. They want you to have a best grades. They want you to have a best assignments, best projects. And every assignment that you make, every project that you submit, is like your business card. Because this is what you are. If professor, teacher looks at your assignment and they see very well done. So you already create that connection to your professor because they see you that perhaps one day you may become a professor too. And of course, if you just kind of slack it off and you just do it very quickly and get rid of it and you're not really interested, then maybe it's important to say, am I really interested if you study a subject, if you are, say, in computer science or information technology or mathematics or physics, then you really have to have a passion. And that passion is something that when you study, like, be honest with you, in my life, I had about, if I look my career, I had about thousands and hundreds of thousands of books. And many of them end up in charity because I cannot travel with all these books, and I regret. If I would have friends in India who would be able to transport these books, I'm happy to give it to you. So you may have all these whatever books, but books have become digital, Dr. Zafar, and so you can Google any book nowadays. So I call it Uncle Google, and I don't know if you met Uncle Google. He's a good friend. Uncle Google and Auntie or Tant Yahoo. So,
So we in India call Google Devta.
So these are resources that you have, and of course, often when I teach, and I may have taught the subject many times, I often look at Google because perhaps there may be somebody who had a better lecture than I did. And so that reminds me that I have to be humble, that I have to be always kind of feeling that I'm at the beginning, I'm learning. And that basically attitude, if you work in every classroom with the attitude that you are willing to learn, then of course you have wonderful technology, you have wonderful lectures, you have all these tools, but you have to really take it and organize the content. So you say, okay, let me understand what is the introduction, let me see how this how this evolves, what is the subject, what is the discussion, and then when you get to conclusions, you say, okay, let me see, where did I start? So how conclusion connect to introduction? And of course, when we write papers and do theses and other things, every reader would always read first abstract and conclusions. And then if they are interested in the topic, they go and read the whole paper or whole subject. But of course, when you are learning and you are at the beginning, when you're very young, So you're learning how to become a writer. You're learning how to become a speaker. You're learning how to communicate with people, because I like to think that, there is nobody more wonderful and beautiful than you are, children of beautiful people that God brought on this planet for a reason. And so you have to be very proud, even if you are maybe less privileged. Maybe I was, I had a very humble upbringing. I'll be honest with you. When I was a student, I had to work part time. I didn't have my, grandparents. I grew up with my grandparents, and they didn't have much money. So I actually felt, whatever you may say, I don't say I was ever poor. I was loved. So, rich and wealthy is relative. If you don't have much, but you have much love, you have everything. And so that is important. And so, of course, that makes you proud, because you look at your mom, you look at your dad, you look at your grandfather, grandmother, and these beautiful people love you, and they wish you well. And you may become professor of Cambridge, MIT, Stanford, Bangalore Institute of Technology, whatever. Sky is the limit. Nobody can say, oh, you can only reach this, because you are here. You are with us. This is how the world is. We are one family, and there is no more important any. We are all equal. We are all same. We all, we may be a little bit. I say, in my case, I like to say, Dr. Kolasani, that I'm not older. I was born a little bit too soon. I was born sooner. So instead of older, I just say I was born a little bit too soon. Anyway, but this is what you have. You have all these years. You have so much time ahead of you. And technology will change again. The technology, what we call smart i10, iPhone or whatever, or Samsung. Tomorrow, in 20, 10 years ago, you look at it and you say, no, I can't believe this looks like a toaster. Or even this laptop looks like, maybe your son, maybe your grandchildren say, no, grandpa, mama, this is not a computer. This looks like a toaster. So this is where technology will evolve from your wonderful, innovative spirit. And so the universities and schools will train you. And I'm so pleased I met Dr. Zafar and Dr. Kalasani, because I see, these are, wonderful people so talented and intellectually so wealthy, that they will open doors for you to explore and look at the subject. And then you say, okay, first I need to understand what is it about. Then I'm going to look at how it works. Then I'm going to see, whole details, how basically it was built. And then based on that, I say, okay, could I maybe think of something better? So let's do a little exercise. I want to use this session. 600 students, we can't really talk to everybody individually, but hopefully at least we get some couple of student feedback, and of course with colleagues. So let's just everybody, this is 2020, and we have Samsung Galaxy, we have iPhone, we have Huawei, we have whatever. But could you just, or any volunteer, tell me, in your own view, what do you think, what technology will look like in 10 years from now? And I give you an example. The reason I'm asking this, when you say Bill Gates, who is Bill Gates? Well, Bill Gates, when he was young, when he was a student just like you, his mom worked in school, local school in California. And he said to his mom, when the Commodore, the first computers came up, he said, Mom, I have to have a computer. And so Mom said, okay, I don't have enough money, so what I can do, I can borrow one from school. And she brought the computer, and he would have with his friend computer for one weekend. And then Sunday, Mom said, oh, I have to take it back to school. And so this is when Bill Gates suddenly said, oh, if I could have my computer. And my computer is personal computer, PC. And this is where that big idea from very simple circumstances came up. And I like to think that in this audience of 600 people, maybe there are hundreds maybe 200, maybe all of you, people who will be much more successful than Bill Gates when time comes. Now, how to get there? So, my question is, any one of you, sometimes you may have an intuition, maybe Dr. Zafar, surely you have a lot of, you've been to different conferences, and sometimes, you you saw a presentation and you felt like there's something that you like to see a little bit ahead of time. And even, let's say if you, God forbid, come across some professor who may think, he's so whatever, he may not like your question, but your question was brilliant because you asked him, Professor, what do you think? What this formula and this concept maybe I could see this maybe as a next step forward. So that is called imagination. Imagination, innovation, spirit of exploring, spirit of going beyond ordinary. And very often it is ideas that you may have that, what we call computing today. I'm sorry, I'm a professor of computer science, but I haven't seen computer yet. All I see is just computational machines. Machines that actually convert binary numbers and they use arithmetics and CPU and memory and, fundamental concept of von Neumann architecture and of course now supercomputers. But, could anybody tell me what is the most powerful supercomputer on the planet today? Okay, let's see if we can get an audience.
It's our brain.
Well, you already answered my question, so you jump. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It is right here somewhere hidden, all over. The
Exactly.
only the only problem is you need to find the key which is in your pocket to unlock it. And very often to finding key, some people spend whole a lifetime and they can't get the key. So and even poor Einstein, apparently Einstein humbly admitted, he said, when people had admiration for him, he said, oh my gosh, I'm just nobody. I wasted all my life because I realized I don't know so many things. And then somebody was doing studies and say, apparently Einstein only used 7% of his capacity. So 7% is not too much, is it? And anyway, so yes, indeed, it is your brain. But of course, you need to develop that learning attitude. Learning attitude means that you become curious. And also connectivity and of course digital domain means I see a lot of, I have a lot of Indian colleagues in India, in Canada, UK, all over. And, they are one of the best and most distinguished scholars that, we see in academia and research and industry and business. But also, it is important that you develop that communicative skill. I speak only 16 languages. I regret I didn't learn Hindi, but I might be, maybe I should start. Maybe I already have some, maybe 2 gigs material on Indian language, Hindi, so I should learn. Because I feel like, language, foreign language, is something as if I would be now able to talk your language and address you individually. Of course, we all use English. English is a platform, but Dr. Zafar, you may find it interesting. In South Korea, my Korean colleague says that Samsung, or researchers in Samsung, somewhat believe that Korean language, Hangugo, Hangugo alphabet, somehow it's better for computation. And I'm still trying to figure out what exactly they meant. But if you look at Samsung, behind the scenes, it's one of the largest ever enterprise. Samsung, my dear students, is bigger than Google, Yahoo, Microsoft, I don't know, IBM combined. Samsung is a monster. It's the largest enterprise, almost one of the largest on the planet. And so they do a lot of research, and I work very closely with colleagues from Samsung. And one of the things is that if you want to become successful, ultimately you have to become competitive. And India, and Dr. Kalasani would agree, you are now on the verge of revolutionizing technologically India. The India remains spiritually as it is because this is, foundation of so much wisdom and so many gifts to humanity around the world. But technologically and also economically, you are building your country. You're trying to, because we have a lot of floodings from the south. We have a lot of natural phenomena that is, unfortunate tsunamis and floodings and other things. But at the same time, the world is changing. The gates have been opened, and intellectually bright people are desired. Everybody wants to get a bright scholar to work with. And I work with so many colleagues. I just in the meantime, which I didn't put in my dossier, is I've been invited as a founding member of the Future Lab on artificial in, uh, intelligence in Germany. So we are working on different things, in many different aspects. So coming back to my question, and Pavin, can we get a student to talk? Can they talk? And do they have a mic?
Yeah, if students are willing to talk, then they can actually make use of raise hand option so that I'll make them available to speak to you.
Okay, so I'm going to rephrase my question
Okay.
to students. Could
Yeah,
you
actually, a lot of members have been answering that it is a brain in the chat session.
No, I meant the question regarding the futuristic technology. So let me
Okay,
reinstate my question.
sure.
Um, what do you think? How technology or even computing? If this is what we call laptop, it has a screen, display, motherboard, keyboard, whatever peripheral devices. So what do you think? What is wrong with this concept? What could have changed? And I'm going to help you. In 1995 in Toronto, Microsoft came out with Windows 95. And during the large opening of the Windows 95, the Windows system crashed. So it was huge embarrassment to Microsoft. And the IBM engineer who was in the audience says that what he haven't seen, there's not really change. It's the same thing. It's the same concept of computer. So my question is, and this is, you can use your imagination. And if you don't give up, of course, I'm not expecting proper answer because this is all about imagination. But perhaps your imagination may inspire some research ideas. So how do you think the computers will look 10 years from now and maybe even 20 years from now? This is my question. And let's see who will answer and how.
I'll wait for the students now.
And Dr. Zafar, Dr. Kosani, please do connect, when we have the question, we know what the subject involves.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. There is someone who wants to speak. I'm just handing over the mic.
Uh, all right. Good evening, sir. My name is Ashu. I'm from GD Goenka University. Well, my vision is computers in another decade, they will try to feel. They will try to feel. This is missing. I would like to see my computer in a way as a device who can understand my face and understand, oh, she's not well today. Her mood is a little off. So let me play according to her mood. So this is probably missing. Maybe on the shopping side, I could sense the perfume. That would be before I'm buying that perfume, I should smell that. That's my vision in another 10 years. So thank you so much. It's lovely to hear you. Thank you so much. Yep.
Sir, Ashu is my student, PhD
Yeah.
student.
Ashu, please stay over. Let our Professor Edward tell her his views. Maybe you're
Yeah.
right or wrong. Just stay over and just wait.
During my BTech days, I asked this question to my professor Ajashutru sir also, and the question was, will it be possible to transfer the dead man's brain to computer so that we could use his knowledge? Some generations can use the experience what the brain has learned. He said, Asha, I'm not able to answer it right now, and still I'm searching and struggling with the things. Sometimes I'm asking this thing with Shireen ma'am also, that will it be possible someday? So the two things are quite different apart. Thank you so much. Thank you. Looking forward to your views, sir.
Yeah,
Well,
Professor
well,
Edward, there were few more opinions in the chat option. People are actually answering your question. One is like, a Surya, student of ASN Degree College. He says that computers might be a good companion in future. I mean, humans doesn't have any companions other than computers. That is his view. And one more student is Ajay Surya Devara. He's also a student of ASN. He says that we can't say technology is developed. We have to say technology is developing forever and ever. So there will be no end for technology development. That is his view. And one more view is whatever we want to do, it can be done with only few commands, it seems. Like supercomputer, whatever we think, the chip of our brain will be connected to the computer, and whatever we wants to do in future, it will make a schedule of everything and it will do. That is another view. These are the different views from the students. So now it's your turn to answer
Edward sir,
this.
I need to add little bit. I don't know whether it's true or not, but we are listening or this thing that in China or in some other people are not marrying because they have so much of work to do and they have so much of stress in life. So they are making their companion as a robot. Okay, so now we can say that this is also a computer only. So maybe in 10 years more, not China, maybe other countries may adapt to that, but as Ashu said, with emotions also, with like smelling skill or emotional skills or and many more skills. So as 10 years, not only in China, other countries may have this. Okay, you don't want a person because you don't like the person, so you can bring a robot in your life and that robot can work for you.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very
there is
well.
one more opinion from other student. His name is Bala Prajai from ASN Degree College again. He says that the computer will be overcoming the human brain. That is his view. But I want to share my view. As you know, life is recycling. I guess we'll come to the first normal thing, because we'll have to make our brain much useful. Yeah, I guess in future, brain will be the supercomputer than anything, because without brain nothing can be created. Even the commands should be given by us. So I guess in future, the brain only will be the supercomputer. And I also see that already we are seeing the environment itself is recycling its own face. So I guess the technology will also recycle its face. As one of our famous scientists told that the future generation will be a bunch of stupids and idiots who will be only depending on the technology. That won't happen, and that will recycle and will come to the human brain and will believe in humans, I guess so, but I'm not sure if it is correct or wrong.
Well, thank you everyone who commented and starting from Ashu, thank you for excellent questions. I think, the vision for future computing and of course social impact of computation and also the preserving the value of humanity is essential. I remember I give you an example. In 1991, I did my second master degree in London, in UK, and during the graduation ceremony, professor who was then given the Doctor of Science, same degree as I did, many years later. So he said that the technology is advancing so fast that it is starting to mechanize the human relationships. And so we as computer scientists have to make sure that we develop technology that will not mechanize the way we think, the way we interact, that will not have negative impact on our human values, but it will contribute to a betterment of mankind. In other words, technology should be there to help us, to help people, to help simple grandmother, simple grandfather, simple child, simple teacher, mom, father, people to help. Computers, should never ever become masters and we become slaves. That would be very wrong. So we have to work together to make sure that as regardless how intelligent and how powerful they become, they are only in service to us humans. And I like to always think that, in 20 years from now, I often, when I talk of computing and think of computing, I think about babies. these beautiful babies that will be born maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe after tomorrow. These are children that coming to this planet as a gift, and we have to make sure that people that we make a better world for these beautiful young people, so they can grow up to be children, to be young, to be successful. So this is something
Yeah,
that
Professor Edward, there is one more person who wants to interact with you. I'm handing over the mic.
Good evening, Professor Bablak and Ms. Joffer. And this is Dr. Jairam Krishna from ASN Group of Colleges. Here I would like to pose one question regarding to the e-learning, because today the e-learning plays a vital role in education system and any other learning mechanisms, because e-learning and our computerized innovation makes an ideal and effective strategy today to learn the new things. In any case, on one moment there is a restriction like any a social segregation or social isolation and self motivation. These are the basic obstacles that can be see with an e-learning, because we are the teachers, we went into the class as an actors, because we went into the shoes of any students and taking the movements and the moods of any students into the consideration, and we can change our orientation of teaching. This will lag with an e-learning or this kind of digital learning mechanisms. How these kinds of things are unbeaten.
very well, excellent question. Thank you so much for that question. Your question connects to Dr. Zafar, what she mentioned about the solitude and
Yes.
hugging robots and hugging devices. I think a couple of years ago, I worked with a colleague professor in South Korea who is actually a director of the Korean spatial program in spatial robotics. Dr. Professor is now retired professor, but we are very good friends. And he worked on humanoid robotic lab and using artificial intelligence and actually coming to ASHU robots that would have or machines that would have that emotional touch. Smelling is tricky, but perhaps we could develop technology because if you think about if I smell a rose, a flower, so that smell is a composition of particles in the air, and that basically creates the sense of whatever smelling a rose or other flower or other. And we could, computers could have an algorithm, Dr. Zafar, that they would actually generate something that would basically, next to computer, kind of release that smell. So you see, it's like a chemical, kind of initiating a chemical process, but in the remote location. So this is maybe possible, and I've already seen, with regarding to computer-human interaction, in 2010, I was invited to Pune, India, ITU. We had and you can Google, if you Google Babulak, ITU panel, Jules Verne panel in Pune, India. So we were about four speakers, and my colleague speaker from Waseda University in Japan presented lecture on computer-human interface. And of course, as you said, Kumar, Pavin, would the computers be smarter than humans? Well, you have a lot of people, and you surely agree. Some people, let's say, you may say, are brighter, some people are not very bright. But again, the measure of that intellectual capacity is relative because, the people who maybe say to some extent handicapped, they may have a much richer emotional dimensions than somebody who is intellectually very, very high. So, it's all relative. The human dimension, if you look at the human being as a spiritual being, physiology of human, and of course, you take also spirituality and emotions. So these are three pillars of humanity. In that respect, with regards to learning, the colleague professor who just mentioned, it is a delicate balance. And we are now in Virginia, we are using Canvas, MS Team for presentations and different Blackboard and Sakai. Surely Dr. Zafar and Dr. Kolasani and colleague, there's so many different e-learning platforms, and it's hard to say which one is the best because they always change. They always come with new features. And I've been teaching online. When COVID started, I was actually teaching last couple of months, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't like it very much because I see that students, they kind of put their picture, they connect, but they may be in the garden playing golf, and I don't know if they are with me or they're not with me. The only way to know if I'm connected to students is what I do now. If I would say, if I want to make sure that Dr. Zafar is here, I see your beautiful face, but you may have a picture there, and so I have to give you a call and say, Dr. Zafar, give me a sign, and then I know that you're connected. But with students, when you have 25 or 40 students, sometimes they are just, connected. You see they're connected. They even check in, with top hat or other mechanisms. But so this is colleague Dr. Jaya, very delicate. How do you actually create e-learning experience that can match in-class learning? Because when you go in class, residential course, then like for example, when I teach, I make sure that I have every student basically connecting. I walk in the classroom, I virtually, of course, if you have a large auditorium and you have 300 students, you cannot do that. Impossible. But if you have 25 students, maybe, even 40, that's about, you can still connect, you can still interact and create working groups. So I think to enhance e-learning uh, experience is to make sure that every lecture has a component of interactive work. There must be interaction, and you need to have instant feedback. So in other words, if you have in your class, say, 40 students, you create maybe 40, you create 8 groups of 5 students. And you say, okay, so I'm going to give a lecture, but I want you to look at section 1, 2, 3, 4. Group number 1, let's do review of section 1. Group number 2, group section 3, section, etc. And then you basically make sure that you have enough time, and you say, okay, I'm not going to lecture 45 minutes, because when you lecture 45 minutes, some studies show that students after 7 slides, disconnect. They watch, but they don't really care. They don't pay attention. So you have to make a very, kind of short lectures, or if, let's say you have a very good lectures from the textbook, from the editor, and they may be 50 slides. It's okay. But you still have to highlight what is most important.
Yes, well, you need to brief everything.
Yes, you have to summarize. You have to make sure that it's, kind of really relevant and important. And also you have to give platform to students so they come on video, like now we interact for a while, and make sure that they all are active. Then yes, then the e-learning could be somewhat enhanced. Is it going to be better than in-class learning? I'm not sure. I don't want to, naively say, but it's definitely good.
But Professor Balak, in my opinion, in most of the cases, the e-learning may not be replace the original practical aspects, because here everything is virtual.
Also, I agree, but also at the same time, I agree with Dr. Zafar that the e-learning is wonderful, and surely Dr. Karasani would agree, because you have some people who may not physically be able to come to school. They may be very far, or they may have health issues, or they may have, other issues that, so for that respect, like for example, in Canada, in Alberta, University of Athabasca had one of the largest distance learning programs. And the reason is that there is a lot of mature students, like, single mom, with a baby, and they have little finance, they have, not very easy circumstances, but they are making, effort to study and completing degrees online. And so what the university did in Alberta, they have provided a very special device. In other words, it's like having Samsung, but when you have Samsung and iPhone, there's so many applications, and I can imagine young students, you may have 300 or maybe thousands of applications on your iPhone. But if you would have a device, Dr. Zafar, that device is specialized for learning, then it's kind of like a reduced capacity, but still with focus on learning. Then, Dr. Jay and Dr. Zafar, you could have a device that the students will say, I'm going to go to classroom, virtual classroom for maybe 4 hours, morning, or 2 hours or 3 hours and 2 hours afternoon, but they will engage. So it is important to make sure that your students engage and you empower them with technology and also methodology that actually you see that they are productive learners. Because, you could have a classroom and you may have half of your students doing nothing in the classroom, just sitting there and checking their emails and messages. But you can have a virtual classroom and you can have everybody working very well, but they need to get proper training and they need to get proper kind of guidance. How do you guide them so they become effective learners? Dr. Zafar, you can add to this, please.
Sir, I need to add two things. As Jaya sir said, like a simple example. For example, some my relatives are they are not very near to me, so just a video call can connect me to them. And when I was just talking to them, it was the connectivity was like when we had the old mobile phones, and we were just talking to them. But now when we are seeing them, we connect to them. So this is also kind of a e-learning example, because when I am connected with my students, seeing their faces, seeing their live faces, maybe obviously I say that the chalk duster teaching, the physical teaching cannot be replaced by anything, but I think the connectivity with the students is important thing. Like as sir said, a simple 10-minute breaks, have a talk to them, what are they doing, what are they not doing, what problems they are facing, rather than continuous displaying the slides, or just singing a song to them, just having a talk to them. A light buffer session will help to overcome the challenges of it. So just going and just teaching and just finishing and wrapping up things cannot solve the problem. You need to connect to the students as in the class, because in the class 60 out of 60 students, 10 or 20 may not be connected, but those 40 students who want to connect, or those 20 students who don't want to connect, we want to bring them in the same pace. So that's the same thing of e-learning, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is also, there is something which is, every child has a potential intellect. And I remember another occasion in Pennsylvania at Penn State in 1989, one of the NASA chief engineer, when he came to give a lecture to our students, he mentioned that we are now looking for a girl, for a boy, maybe somewhere in the very small village, completely, we don't even know where, nobody knows. But that little boy, that little girl could have such a beautiful potential, intellectual potential. Because if you look at, say, semiconductors, so study physics and semiconductors properties, we know that process of miniaturization depends on the atom structure. How do you actually create small gates, and and you have to have capacitors, resistance, and other elements. So maybe the concept of quantum computing, or maybe biocomputing, or maybe yet neuro, or maybe yet another kind of computing, have not been yet even thought about. And so this is where, the education must be, Dr. Zafar, Dr. Kalasani, and Dr. How may I address you? Just Dr. Vemula, yeah? Vemula. So it has to be from the very early age, from the very first class when they come to elementary school. And technology, Dr. Zafar, you rightly say, could help that these young kids basically have a interaction. Let's say children at elementary school would have Dr. Zafar visiting their classroom virtually, because you cannot travel to every elementary school, impossible, too many. But you could say hello to them and maybe 5 minutes and say, hello, children. And they're very, very young, 6 years old. And you say, we will talk about computer. You know what it is? And you create that curiosity. They suddenly will go home and say, Mom, the Dr. Zafar came and she talked about some kind of computer or some kind of memory or CPU. And you make it very simple. And that's how we can do it, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And when you get to, say, year number, say, 9, when they're already 15 years old, then you talk about more complex, more specific concepts. And so eventually they become you're kind of preparing generation for next secondary school. And then you do the same thing in secondary schools and you generate that spirit of thinking for university students. Mathematics, pre-calculus, algebra, linear algebra, probability and fundamental mathematical concepts. And of course, other important tools like algorithms and critical thinking. And so you get these people, young people, who get through the education, Dr. Kolasani, that very fundamental training that when they go to, I like to think that best students are students, if you look at the staircase, in the building, and you have a metal ball, and you drop it down staircase. So when it goes to first, it picks up a speed, momentum. And so when the students graduate, they should be like the superstars. The final year project, final presentation, these students will say, "Whoa, this is a MIT PhD candidate." So you have to train your students, Dr. Kolasani, Dr. Zafar, Dr. Mula, and Pawan, as if they are going to be best intellectual minds on the planet. And so that takes training, and technology cannot do the training. Technology can only enhance training. But there must be that professor-teacher factor, and as you rightly say, sometimes you have a casual interaction with them. I, for example, play guitar to my students in the classroom or teach them Kung Fu. I teach them so many things. And some people say, I never had a professor like you ever. I said, well, I hope so. Yeah, I said, hopefully you will have many like me, And so every faculty, every professor you have, we all have different talents and different skills and different whatever gifts. And we have to share these gifts with students. So then students see that the learning and education is not just boring reading books and trying to, but they actually are alive, make them alive, make them happy, make them excited, and make them curious. I see also here question, artificial intelligence will totally change this universe. Yes, AI is already changing the world. And AI is basically, again, to coming back to our organizer, Mr. Kumar, don't worry, computers will not be smarter than you are, than anybody. So computers will, but they may, they may, bring us, all of us, to situations like, when we feel like, I'll give you an example. Monday, my associated dean said, Professor Babulak, did you develop courses? We migrate to Canvas. And I'll be quite honest with you, I did not. I have a basic, but I didn't do complete course. So she used her authority, and I felt like I'm a schoolboy, that did something wrong, and I have to put my fingers, and she's gonna smack me, on my fingers if I don't do it right. So I took it with this, kind of attitude, and I did build the courses. And as I learned, I built the courses. I realized that this is how it is. We are always at the beginning, and very often, sometimes, you may say, "Oh, I have already learned so much." But the fact is, if you keep learning and always be humble and say, my gosh, I'm only at the beginning, then you will be moving towards, like today, Dr. Zaka, you say, you assistant professor, very successful researcher. I hope one day you become distinguished professor at Oxford, and and you will be lecturing all over the world. Yeah, so that's how the journey evolves, and that's how you transmit all these ambitions to your students, and they will transmit to their students. So, to this respect, human spirit is much stronger than anything. Now, also with this online class, as I mentioned to you, Dr. Vemula, I would say welcome e-learning, but also it's important to have a interaction with your students and learn. So what I do often, I ask students, how is your mom? How is your family? And you have that kind of, that kind of personal connection. So I can, because maybe some students may have a better circumstances, maybe some may have a difficult circumstances. And it doesn't mean that they are that worse students. They just have a difficult circumstances. And so it's important to help them to understand and create that safe, welcoming environment. Uh,
Yes, yes, there were a few questions to be addressed, Professor Bablak. I'll just poke those questions one after the. There is a question from Balaji Badinini, a student of ASN College. He asked that is the sensing features like smell and emotions may lead to the destruction of human works where compared to machine work? That is one question. I'm sorry, you have to unmute yourself. Your mic is muted. Professor
Sorry. So
Bablak, yeah, sure.
yeah, let's take this question. So there are two things. He mentioned machine learning and human learning.
Again, your mic is muted. I'm
No,
sorry.
I'm asking
Okay.
machine learning and human learning. That's
Yeah, he asks that like there was a introduction from a student Ashu Sharma, right? She says that future computers might, they can smell, they can feel everything. So he is asking to that particular thing: is the sensing features like smell and emotions may lead to the destruction of human works, where compared to the machine work? He's asking that it might actually destruct the human work. Is that he's asking?
I understood. Yeah, there are different views on technology, and some people, and maybe rightly so, they could be quite skeptical. Like saying, "Oh, robots are going to take over our jobs, and eventually the artificial machines will take control of government or take control of military or take control of." So yes, these machines, kind of unofficially, I can just say that there are labs and there are research projects. They work on subjects that it would be maybe even hard to imagine what they work on, just to leave it as it is. But there are a number of issues: human brain interaction with computers, emotions, um, intuitive thinking. In other words, there's a robotic Ethernet. In other words, robots are interconnected through the Ethernet. And if one robot will learn, do this, lift it, turn it light, put it down. So this is a learning curve that one robot has mastered, and the other robot can learn it virtually by downloading that, if you like, algorithms or procedure. And so, as we people, if you look at babies, babies learn from their mom and fathers. They do little gestures, smiling, mama, papa, and they, learn how to talk, how to walk, and basically they follow examples. And so, yes, machine can do the same thing. But again, I would say this is where, as we develop technologies, and it would be naive to think, oh, let's just. I even had a more dramatic Pavan comments from my students saying, destroy all the computers is the best solution. But it would be naive to think, because we have to look at technology that is actually helping people, saving lives, helping, with very serious circumstances, diseases, even, hopefully, as far as construction and engineering and science and arts. So the technology is very good if it is still controlled by people, and controlled by very smart people. So what it means that if technology is advancing, so does the human must advance. In other words, if computers can learn, so we should keep learning. And I say, to you students and to all people connected, I communicate in 16 languages, but I feel it's not enough. I think I'm just at the beginning. I should pick up new language because I'm getting lazy now. So as soon as I start to learn something, then I get engaged. And so you should learn, for young people of India, my message is English is, of course, fundamental. It's a worldwide language. But there are other important languages, such as French. French is a language of diplomacy. And you may not know, but the royal family and Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth was educated in French and Latin. So you see there are, and of course, at that level of, say, aristocracy or whatever society, French is a language where I use very often French. Je parle français, enfin, je suis canadien, nous parlons français chez nous. But it's a language of diplomacy, so you have to learn French. And if you look at the French world, it's a big world. There's a lot of people in the US, in Canada, all around. And I think, even Dr. Zafar, correct me, I think there is a French citizens in India. Yeah, there's a territory which is French. So, so this is one language I would encourage you to learn. And I'm happy to help anybody who wants to learn. Now,
Oh,
another language, Spanish. Spanish. Now, I'm a computer scientist. I'm an electrical engineer. I'm a computer scientist. I work a lot of things in cyber as well. But I'm a linguist. And I believe these languages, foreign languages, are important because if you look at Spanish, then of course the Latinos and of course United States have like almost, I don't know, maybe 45% of Spanish-speaking people in the country. And so it's a very important language. So French, Spanish. I would even learn Russian because if you look at India, you are, China, you look at the geography, but you need Russians because Russians is a monster country. It's the largest country in the world. And there are 300 million people. And it would be naive to think that, they're all, people, I say like regular people, are wonderful people everywhere. In India, in Russia, all around the world. Politics sometimes, unfortunately, creates a lot of divisions. But as educators, as I mentioned at the very beginning, I like to think that I'm a brother and sister, or I'm a brother to everybody on this human planet. So, this is something that as educators, as scholars, we have to be people with hope for better. And so if you are Indian and you say you speak English perfectly and Hindi and maybe other Indian language, then if you get French, Spanish, Russian, and German, another German, because German is the language of engineering and music and poetry. So you must speak German. So I hope next time when we meet with students, you have about Kumar. When is the next event? In a couple of months or maybe next year?
yeah, we can plan it according to your time schedule.
Pawan sir,
Okay, so
uh,
if we do in couple of months, I hope students that you next month you do two different languages. One language in 2 weeks. I encourage you to learn.
Great.
a very good answer is given in
Yeah.
the chat box also. A student says,
Yes, yes,
a
exactly.
student says that the more deadliest than the computer technology is human brain. So we need to control that human brain because in many of the like Hollywood movies and also we have seen that the technology is not causing harm. Harm is caused by the people who are instilling the programming and the technological specification of human brain. So I agree totally with that student that this is the thing that human brain needs to be
That's
controlled.
what human brain can even create, or it can actually destroy anything
Yes.
in a no time.
Well,
Yeah.
if I may, let me give you an example. When you drive, you get this micro sleep. And actually, in Prague, I work with colleagues from Faculty of Transport. They have very interesting research. They work with medical doctors, and they study, Dr. Kalasani, perception of a driver. You have a visual system, and when you drive long distance, you become tired, and you go like, you get this micro sleep. Sometimes it takes a couple of seconds, and you can basically crash, and
Exactly.
and so this is where you have this interaction when suddenly the auto system will take over. As soon as they see that your facial image shows fatigue, and same with Ashu, your question, when you're very unhappy with computers, and this computer should say, Ashu, time's out. Close computers, take a shower, have a run, do some exercise, call your friends, and have a good
Exactly. We
lunch.
need something like that these days.
Or on the contrary, when you
Sorry, you're muted, Professor
Dr.
Babla.
Kalasanya or Dr. Zafar, if you have children and your child is doing homework, and you say, "Oh, I have to go and see my neighbor," and so when you go up from the house, your child suddenly see Mama is gone, and they suddenly say, call their friends, come, we can play. Mama is not here. Then the computer then could
Confirm
do
me.
something like, hop, say, I'm going to call your mom. If you're not learning, I'm going to call her right now. so, so with the human spirit,
Yes.
I
Yes,
think, of
exactly.
course, there are people and people, but I still like to think, I'm a professor, I'm a scholar, I'm an idealist maybe, but I think people are beautiful and fundamentally are beautiful. So, and even the most, say, bad person, God forbid, if you say that, even that person has a little light of hope in his heart. And so this is,
Uh, yeah.
yes. So this is like, in Kung Fu, if you look at Kung Fu is based on that principle of yin and yang, or you can call it good or bad, or beginning and the end. There's a lot of representations, a lot of things. But one of the things is, for example, if I'm defending myself and somebody is attacking me, and he or she, or whatever, mostly he, basically, it would be very bad. But then I will do a technique, emotionally, technically, physically, that I'm trying to find that right good spot, something that is good in that person. And and I'm trying to help him to become better person. So he's trying to hit me, but he cannot because I always defend myself. But through that, if you like interaction, even if you like combat, I'm trying to actually help that person to release that pain, release something that is so bad that is basically damaging his spirit, so he can become a better person. And same like educators, we are like Da Vinci's, Dr. Zafar, Dr. Kalasani. Da Vinci, Dr. Lamula, we take a student and it's like a material and we mold the character. We create beautiful personalities. We help them to become beautiful people. We help them to become gentle, kind, generous, just, and honorable people. So this is why, Pawan, the question to the audience about this brain that is very bad, that brain needs a little bit of love, help, and education, and compassion maybe. And if you do it right, then eventually, like what you have, human life is like a flower. It's like a flower. When spring comes and you see this beautiful kind of plant is pushing and you see it in the ground, and then you know you see that eventually as you give a little bit of water, a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of nutrition, suddenly becomes beautiful flower. And so this is what we do with young children and students. They come to our classroom and they may be all even, say on the side of being kind of not very kind, rusty, whatever. But we are the masters. We are the masterminders. You are the mastermind. We are the creators of that beautiful human spirit that we help them to grow and become beautiful people. And people say when I see beautiful young girl and beautiful young man, so they are handsome and beautiful. So this is a game of nature because every young person is beautiful. But when you see old people beautiful, then you say this is an art of nature because they are beautiful not just physically we can get weaker, older, pain here, pain there, but the spirit is beautiful. And so that's how we do it. We build that beauty of personality. And so we have to look at, as educators, as scholars, our mission. And of course, you students, you have to have that wonderful, passion and belief that educators are here to make you wonderful people, to make you successful people. And if you may have come across something that is maybe not very nice, or of course disappointing, it's like clouds. It's like that you have a beautiful sunny day, and tomorrow you have a heavy rains and heavy clouds, and it seems like everything is so bad and so great, but it's not. It's just temporary. So I think this is in spirit of education and in spirit of learning. This is how we are and you are becoming stronger, more capable, successful. 5 things. I want you, Pawan, to write 5 things so you can remind the students and Dr. Zafar 5 things. Number
Okay.
one, look at
Yeah.
your mirror and say, I am beautiful. In case of men, you can say, I'm handsome. Yeah, because maybe handsome for a boy, maybe beautiful for the girl. But that
Yeah.
beautiful means I'm beautiful as a person. I'm beautiful as a human being. And you're reminded of that you are beautiful because you are important. You are here. You are born here. This is your planet. This is your world. Number two, I'm, I'm, I'm strong. 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 I can be strong. I can take a challenge. I can, even if I get on my knees, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to be strong. I'm going to continue, on that mission. Number three, I'm smart. Smart. So remember, I am beautiful, handsome, boy, girl, beautiful, boy, handsome. I'm strong. I'm smart. Smart means I can figure out. I can look at it, and maybe there are a lot of things I don't understand, but I will study, I will figure out, I will explore, I will look at maybe beyond the textbook, and I will communicate with my professor, with my teachers, and ask simple questions. Excuse me, professor, I didn't understand that. Could you explain? And I will continue learning until I understand it 100%. So I am beautiful, strong, smart. Number four, I am capable. Capable. Capable means if anybody can climb the Mount Everest, surely you can do the same. In other words, if man can achieve anything, you can achieve the same thing. It doesn't mean that you are less important, that you are less capable. It just means, simple question. If I ask you today, how would you climb the highest mountains of India? What would you do? What would be the step number one? Let's see who answers that question. So my question is, how would you climb the highest mountains in India today? What do you need to do? What is step number one?
First of all,
Let's
we'll
see.
have to start from the place where we are sitting.
Anyway, you're right. But number one, put your shoes on.
Yes, exactly.
You may want to put your shoes on. Yeah. It doesn't seem like because you look at the mountains, you say it's so big. My gosh, I will never ever get to there. But why not? You take your shoes on, put your shoes on, and you take a one step, and then you take a second step, and then you take a third step, and you keep moving forward, forward, forward. So if you have any ambitions, any dreams, any hopes, these are given to you by God. And so this is your chance, this is your time to say, yes, I can achieve, I can make my dreams happen. Because if you wouldn't be able to do it, you would never dream about anything like this. It's your gift. Your ambitions, your dreams are your gift. And that's what it is. And you have to believe in them, and then it makes you to kind of continue. Like, Dr. Zafai mentioned, distinguished professor at Oxford. Today, when you look at people say, oh, I can never get to Oxford. Oxford is a very close, very kind of, very privileged institution. But my answer is, why not? Why not Dr. Zafai? Yeah. If they can do it, you surely can do it. Same thing. So this is how it is. So number one, I'm beautiful, I'm strong, I'm smart, I'm capable, and number five, I'm lovable. Lovable means I love people. I love everybody. Everybody loves me back. But I mean loving in as a dignified person with dignity. It doesn't mean that people can jump on me and abuse me. It means that I'm happy, I love people, but I'm also dignified. I know who I am, and you know who you are, and you are important person. You are valuable person, and it's not just your family. The world needs you. Universe needs you because this is how when you hear you are a maker, we are all makers of this beautiful universe. So we have to have that spirit. So what are these 5 things you have to remember? Pavin, could you repeat?
Yes. Look at the mirror and see that I am beautiful or handsome. I'm strong and I can take any challenge. And I'm smart, so I can think beyond and I can do whatever I want. And I'm capable of.
And I am lovable.
Sorry, I'm not audible.
And I am lovable.
Yes, I'm smart, I'm capable, and I'm lovable.
Well done. So to you, Pavin, I'm giving you an A. You can put it A, somewhere in your notebook.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
well, well done. Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Zaf, you
You're
make a couple
muted.
of comments. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dr. Zafar, come.
Dr. Joffa, you're muted. Please unmute yourself. Dr. Joffa, you'll have to unmute your session.
Yeah, yes, yes. I think Babulak sir is also muted. I cannot hear him.
No, he wants you to add a note on that.
Sir, my
Yeah, I
my
wanted you
my
to.
last note on this particular is actually the thing is that we are mixed with two things. We need to specify either we are human being or we need to being human. These are the two things very important. Like I think in this COVID pandemic situation, in this scenario when people are facing lot of problems, especially in India, I'm seeing every day every like things like we say like we are privileged, we are at our homes, but people are not finding food or something like that. So we need to figure out, okay, just becoming human is the thing, or instilling humanity in you. So if you are just a human being, you are not serving the society, you need to be human. So that's only the thing I need to add.
Very well done. I agree. It means manifestation of the values and beliefs that we have. And of course, in these very difficult times, I think it is also important to kind of be willing to help and also kind of guide people through these times. Hopefully, we also have to be positive
Correct.
and believe that medical experts and people develop medication and tools and maybe vaccine, but even medication. So if we don't have vaccine, and let's say any one of us will come across this very bad virus, but we can take it as a flu, and just have a rest and have some vitamins and have some whatever, and eventually, just get over and get better. So that is important. You're right, because indeed there's so many people, and not just in India, even in the most developed countries, like whatever you call developed country, but there are many people all over the world that are very, in difficult situations, emotionally, financially, and whatever. And so this is why I
But
also
Babulak
believe,
sir,
and this may be mystical. Yeah.
yes sir.
Sorry, you're not clear.
Okay, government
Can you
is
repeat
doing,
what
or
you were telling? Yeah.
hello.
Yes.
Sir, in just need to add this, that in India maybe government is doing something, not doing something, but the people are doing a lot. I see every day that lot of food, lot of money, lot of charity, lot of support is done by people, and that is the main thing of that we are seeing in our country. That we cannot say that a government is not doing or government is doing. We cannot blame every time the government. As a human being, as I said in my presentation also, let's help 3 people, those 3 people can help other 6 people. So there's a chain. Like in my home, I can just help my maid, maybe connected my peoples who are nearby me. So this is the chain. This is the thing we need to develop. So this is humanity. Apart from everything, whether it's e-learning, whether it's anything, humanity cannot go. So this is the main thing of any scenario. And Indians, I need to say that they are doing a lot. They are, every day I can see they are helping with food, with money. They are doing a lot.
And also, students, you are like ambassadors because, in your families, in your neighborhood, you go out and you interact and you see people. And sometimes, just a little gesture of kindness can be, already a great thing, or something, just helping here and there wherever you can. So that is important. Yes. So indeed, we must be reminded as we go through this lecture that COVID is here and many other things are here in, issues that are important to so many people. But again, most of all, we also have to be humble and wise enough to admit that we may not have answer to everything. But as you rightly say, Dr. Zafar, we can reach out to people close to us and whatever in the area. And also through this kind of interaction, what we do now, what we do, we are farmers. I'm talking about hope, and I talk about ideas that are like seeds that are planted in hearts of people, of students who are connected today. And hopefully, whatever we kind of think about and try, this is how human spirit and humanity is strongest on of everything. That humanity has overcome so many difficult things. There are more difficult things than even COVID, historically.
Correct.
And so this is why the human spirit has to be strong and cultivated. And so we as educators, our roles, we don't make political decisions, economic decisions, but we make spiritual enhancing decisions. The, so we basically, there are leaders in many different walks of life, and we basically are open-minded and hopeful. So that, the key word to everything is hope, even if there is so much despair.
Exactly. You're correct. So if there are any words to be added, just go ahead, or else we'll end the session.
Well,
Dr. Babalok, are you having anything to be added? I'm sorry. Dr. Kolasani, please. Yeah. Are there any words to be added, or we'll just end up the session with a thank you session?
Yeah, Pavan.
Yep.
And really thank both the speakers, Dr. Sharon Jafar and Professor Babulak. And I rate this webinar like Indian Everest. Really impressed. And all the participants are blessed, are fortunate to have both of you on panel today. And you given not only the knowledge they required, and especially for the Indian students, basically, madam know about it. Basically, there are certain psychological blocks for a student to shift from a conventional teaching and learning process to the e-learning online process, basically. But the Professor Boblak, the kind of inspiration you given today for the students, not only the knowledge and the kind of inspiration you given, and they clearly basically given them remove their psychological blocks and emotional blocks. Okay, and I really appreciate Madam Sharon Jafar basically kind of contribution you are doing at country level for the e-learning process and our content. So both of you, not only being a technological developers and scientists in a particular area, and motivation you're extending to the youngsters. Basically, we really appreciate from all the participants. And there are around 600 plus participants today. Most of them, 98% of them are students, and they have the clear insight about the technological usage and the need of the hour, basically, why they should shift to e-learning process, especially. I really thank Pavan also for arranging such awesome speakers in the panel, and really again, and I again rate it. It's an Indian Everest webinar, no doubt. Thank you very much, both of you,
Thank you, sir.
being an awesome interactors and motivators for the students today. Thank you both of you.
Thank you, sir. So kind words.
Thanks a lot. Yes, thanks a lot, Dr. Kolasani, for such a beautiful words, and we are very blessed to have those compliments. I'm telling on behalf of speakers, and also, yeah, I'm really very proud to have both the speakers on our editorial board. We are very happy to have you on our board, and yes, we will be doing many more things to the community from our journal, and we'll be seeking many publications, and there are many ways to disseminate the knowledge. Only the platform is through publications, because people have to know what is the importance of the publication, how the knowledge should be disseminated to others. That is only going to happen with a platform of publications, that too in open access, because there will be no constraints to the readers who will be going through the studies. So yeah, I wish all success to all the students who have participated all the way by investing their valuable time. And I extend my great thanks to convener Dr. Kolasani for making this possible and creating such a platform to your students. And I, extend my warm and great thanks to both the speakers. Instantly you have accepted my invitation, and you have been ready to speak, and you are there to improve the knowledge of the students. And I'm very blessed to create such a platform with all the intellectuals like you. And with all support of yours and due respects, I want to continue my publication stream successfully. And I expect more and more such type of publications, and more and more such type of talks in future. And this was an very interactive session. And Dr. Babalak, you said that you have born a bit earlier, but your heart is still reborn every day, I guess. You're very young and enthusiastic, and your enthusiasm added up a lot of spirits to us. And yes, I would like to thank everyone again. And if I continue thanking everyone again, and this will be a session, that much lot of applause I want to produce to all the people who have been investing their time to this particular thing. And if speakers wants to add anything, just add it on, so that I'll end up the session.
I just want to say namaste. Thank you very much. Be blessed, well, and safe. You are all wonderful, and it was great honor, and I remain most grateful and look forward to continue our collaboration. And hopefully, the fruits of this farming session and planting ideas in your hearts for students will be very fruitful, as Dr. Kalasani mentioned. That next time in 20 years, I will have here 630 professors talking to me back. So, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Pavan sir. Thanks a lot, organizers. It was an awesome session. Thank you all. Thank you, Babulak sir.